want to start by saying that this is not a critique on the fact that this should be news and this should be publicized. But I do want to put a lot of emphasis on the fact that we should not be surprised. Not at all. And somebody in the comments said that they've set a new standard or a new low. You need to not think about it like that because it's not true. And many people have protested this before us. Why would we be surprised? In 2020, there was an officer in Austin, Texas, who dumped a quadriplegic woman with no arms or legs out of her wheelchair when she was there protesting her husband, who had been shot by police. I was a protester in Portland, Oregon in 2020, and they would regularly arrest Dustin, who was in a wheelchair. He was very vocal, very funny, very quippy, and very influential. They target people who are influential. They target leaders, and leaders are influential. Dustin is in a wheelchair and has brittle bone disease, and they broke his bones multiple times, arresting him by handcuffing him with his arms behind his back. He has brittle bone disease. His bones break very, very, very easily. And they gave him multiple surgeries, countless surgeries, because of just them arresting him. They also arrested him plenty of times. Was it because he was doing any kind of violence? No. It was because he told those officers to quit their fucking jobs, and he told them that they were treasonous, because they were. He highlighted that we were not rioting. They were. There's such a thing as police riots. They would show up and tear gas. When we were listening quietly to one person on a microphone, they would tear gas us on a time clock. They would tear gas us for nothing. They would declare it a riot for nothing. They would target our paramedics. Our medics, and they would target our media and our press. One time, they mass arrested us 2 blocks after a march had started, before anybody did literally anything that could have possibly warranted it. And they claimed that the reason they were able to arrest us all and not let us go and trap us and cattle us was because they were doing an investigation about another night. They really just wanted our faces photographed. They wanted our fingerprints and us logged into a system. They regularly arrested the Portland protesters just to release us the next morning. And then our mugshots would be shared online and we would be doxxed. I was really lucky to avoid getting arrested. I thought I was lucky. I'm not so sure. I thought maybe there was a reason why they gassed less while I was there, or why rubber bullets never even seemed to be shot in my direction, even though I was on the front lines constantly as a live streamer. Why I was press, but I never had to wear press on my vest like other people did to be recognized as press. the people around me were not so protected. Everybody who helped me at the homeless camp or supported my efforts at that homeless camp after the protest left, and I stayed because they were retaliating still on that homeless camp when the protests weren't even there anymore. A lot of those homeless people died, anybody who supported me. A lot of their tents were destroyed for supporting me and for not claiming that I needed to leave. A lot of people would be like, the homeless don't want you to record them, but I would be recording on my own by myself, and homeless people would come up and sit with me, and I would record asking the other homeless people, because I was also homeless, and I'd be like, are you okay with me recording you? I usually didn't record them. I recorded my face. A lot of the homeless wanted their stories told, because when we end up John Doe's in a morgue, or whenever we get arrested and the news puts out articles, they get to just completely either erase us with nobody to know we're missing, because everybody abandons you as soon as you become homeless because they can't help you and it's too hard to watch, or they don't want to feel guilty for not being able to help you. Or whenever we die and the press gets to just paint you in a bad light, like they did with George Floyd, who, even if he had done the most, it is not the police's job to be an executioner, a judge, or a jury. He was subdued, he was not resisting, and they knelt on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We should not be surprised. And then let's take it back to 2016 at DAPL with the North Dakota Access Pipeline, where, again, people were unarmed, just asking for their water to not be contaminated. But there was a lot of money in those oil pipelines. And there's a lot of history of us not respecting indigenous water rights that we have specific treaties with. We have not kept up our end of the bargain with a singular treaty with the indigenous, not one. We have unearthed mass child graves of the indigenous, and but even beyond that, we should still not be surprised. Why would we be surprised that they are targeting and taking advantage of people's disadvantages and handicaps when they've been bombing a city that is half children, calling them Hamas, claiming that they are just retaliating or defending themselves? How are you bombing a city? Gaza is half children. How are you bombing a city that is half children and claiming it's in defense? They're unarmed. They have no homes, no food. How? How is that warranted? How is that self-defense? They love to take advantage of handicaps. That's how they got rich. They have all of you convinced that education is just really expensive as they groom you your whole school career to go to college. And then what do they spend your college dollars on that they make you go forever in debt for? Bombs, military weapons, and political influence. We should not be surprised. We're not protesting them because they're ethical. God bless the future. It needs it.